Welcome everyone to a new episode of Sacred Art. Today we'll be continuing the same subject that we had previously, that is defense of icons. Previously we talked about how icon is like a scripture and that we are not worshipping to an icon, we are worshipping with an icon. And today we'll be talking about something which always a critic asks us. That is from the book of Exodus, from one of the 10 commandments, in which it says that you are not allowed to make an image of anything below heaven. And followed by it says that you are not allowed to bow down to them or to worship them. Now here, this particular verse is being highly used. It's been normally used by many critics, especially from the Protestant churches, and saying this point that you are not allowed to make image of anything below heaven. And followed by in the book of Exodus, it also says that the God himself is talking about to make cherubims and seraphims in the Ark of Covenant and in the tabernacle, and such they are also icons. So it's not entirely talking about not to make an image below heaven, but we should look into the 10 commandments not as 10 different commandments, but we should look into it as 10 commandments in collection or collectively. So in this second commandment it says that you are not allowed to make image of anything below heaven. It also says that you are not allowed to bow down to them or to worship them. And I think I talked about worshipping part in the previous session. Now let's talk about what is meant by you are not allowed to make image of anything below heaven. So once one of my friend asked me a question that, Riju, you are not allowed to make image of anything below heaven. And then he asked me this question that why you are making image of Christ, why you are making image of Mary, why you are making image of saints. And he kept asking me this question, and why your church has a lot of saints, pictures and everything depicted. And I had a long answer for him, I had a short answer for him. I gave him both the answers. But first of all, I asked him only simple question, that you are telling me that you are not allowed to make image of anything below heaven. So I asked him that, do you have a camera? And when I asked him this question that, do you have a camera, he didn't answer me because he got the answer. Because when you take a picture from a camera, you are creating an image. It's not an image created by God, it's an image created by you with the help of camera. So taking a picture itself is like creating an image. So here comes the whole point that why I'm creating an image. As I said in the previous session, that human mind always wants to visualize things. They always want things to be visualized, things to be depicted. So when I'm taking a picture of my loved ones, of my parents, of my friends, I'm capturing a moment, capturing their pictures to keep it within myself, or I want to be surrounded by them always. So me being a person away from my parents, or if I say that if I'm going to leave my friends, whenever I look into that picture, I remember my friends. So let's take this example that right now I'm away from my parents. So while going through a journey or somewhere, all of a sudden I started remembering my mama. So I have a picture of my mama in my wallet. So I will take that picture, I will look into that picture, I will try to remember her. I will remember everything. So when I will remember it, I will start missing her. When I miss her, I may kiss the picture. But the point is that kissing is not to the paper, that kissing is to my mama. So that's a respect, that's an honor. I'm not worshipping the paper, I'm respecting the picture which is being depicted. Similarly, when we enter inside the church, as if in our normal life, we want to be surrounded by our friends, our parents, we want to be surrounded by our family. And when you get inside a church, you want to be surrounded by your Christian family. The people who are living with you, the people who passed away from you, or people who are the saints of the church. So that's the beauty of an Orthodox church, that when you get inside an Orthodox church, you will see that you are surrounded by the Christian family, the saints, the martyrs, Mother Mary herself, and even Christ. So you want to be surrounded by them, and that's why you're keeping the picture of them. As it is written in the book of Hebrews that since you are surrounded by the clouds of witnesses, and this witnesses includes the people who passed away from you, saints, and even you. So that was an answer for creating an image. Now let's come to the part of worshipping. People ask this question, and this is one of the most normal question for me. People ask me this question that, Riju, why you are lighting a candle in front of an icon? Why you are worshipping an icon? And I say that we don't worship an icon. First of all, we don't worship to an icon, we worship with an icon. And secondly, we are venerating them. And what is the definition of veneration? I told you an example of when I look into my mama's picture or my parents' picture, I look into it, I memorize or I remember her. And with a lot of emotion and a lot of things that I remember about her, I kiss her. That kissing or that respect is veneration. So whenever I'm looking into an icon of Mother Mary, I remember everything. I remember the whole life of Mother Mary. Whenever I'm looking into an icon of a saint, I remember the whole life of the saint. With due respect to that person, to that image or to that whole character, I kiss that icon. So the veneration, that respect is going to that person. I hope you're getting the point of how I'm connecting it with our normal life. Now this is my question for the people who raise these questions. That don't you feel yourself, don't you want to be surrounded by your family, by your friends with the help of a picture? Similarly, being a Christian, I want to be surrounded by the pictures of the saints and the martyrs. And whenever I look into their pictures, whenever I look into this picture of the saints, I want to give them a respect. I'm not worshipping them. I'm giving them that respect, because they are the one who are teaching me by their life how to live as a Christian. Now this veneration can, and by the way, as I said that the icons are like scriptures, so they communicate, we can read them. I have an incident with me. One of an Indian priest, and I think I mentioned in the previous session the same thing. One of the Indian priests, when he was celebrating the liturgy in abroad, so he was alone in the whole church, and there was only one diakon in the church. So he was celebrating the liturgy. While celebrating the liturgy, like in the Coptic liturgy also, you say that priest turn around and say that Irini Pasi. So similarly in Indian liturgy also they say the same thing. So in English it's like peace be unto you all. And in response, the people say, to thy spirit also. But in this whole thing, when this priest was alone and there was only one diakon, so the priest turned back and said that peace be unto you all. But there was no one to reply. And this Indian priest was telling me that, Rijo, that was the first time that I saw the power of icon, because when he was about to turn back after saying Irini Pasi, he saw that all the icons of the church father looking at him, and he found that there is nothing called there is no one inside the church. There are always the saints and the people who have passed away from us. They are always in presence with us. We are always surrounded by these clouds of witnesses. So we don't worship them, we venerate them. We give them respect the same way we give respect to our parents. Now I want to share another analogy also here. Whenever you look into the flag of your nation, let's say that right now the Egyptians look into the Egyptian flag, or me being an Indian, when I look into an Indian flag, I salute that flag. But that salute or that respect is not worship. I'm respecting it because I respect my nation, and that flag is reminding me my nation. So whenever I'm looking into an icon of a saint, I'm not respecting that, I'm not respecting not even that wood or the color, but I'm respecting who's being symbolized by this whole picture. So whenever I'm looking into an icon of Theotokos, I'm not respecting the wood, I'm not respecting the color, I'm respecting Mother Mary. Similarly, that whenever I look into the flag of my nation, I'm not respecting the cloth or the color, I'm respecting my whole nation. So this is how it connects, this is how the icon connects with us. Another important question that people ask, it's a very general question again, that are we allowed to make image of God the Father? No, we are not. Because God the Father never described himself. So as Saint John of Damascus says that if I am going to make an image of God the Father who never described himself, then I will be making a mistake, I will be making an error. But think about it, when the God who is undescribable became describable, now being an artist, being an iconographer, I'm really liable to make his image. I hope I was able to give or talk about many questions that is raised against iconography in this whole defense of icon. Thank you.